Hey guys, welcome back. This week we are talking about primary colors. In last week's video, we went over the different parts of the color wheel. This week we will be taking a closer look at the primary color group on the color wheel. As a refresher, the primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. Fun fact, if you line the primary colors up from blue, yellow to red, you get the flag for Romania, which is a country in Europe. But let's get back on track. Why are the primary colors called primary? We'll get more into this in our next video, but for now, primary colors are the colors in the color wheel that cannot be created by mixing one of the other colors on the color wheel. I know what you're thinking. If I can't make these colors, then where do they come from? Let's take a closer look. We'll begin with red. This color is created with pigments. Red is made with a pigment called red ochre. Red ochre comes from clay. Another way to get the red pigment is by using iron oxide, which is a chemical compound made from iron and oxygen, or more commonly known as rust. Rust is the reddish-brown stuff commonly found on older pieces of metal. During my research, I found out that apparently the best red pigments come from Cyprus, which is an island located off the coast of Turkey. Next, let's talk about the primary color yellow. Just like the red pigment ochre, yellow can also be found as an ochre in clay. Back in the olden days, artists would also make paints using a yellow pigment they named Indian yellow. It was called Indian yellow because it was created using the urine of cows in India that were only fed mango leaves. Equal parts gross and cool, right? Our last primary pigment is blue. Blue pigment can be found in a flower called true indigo, or as its scientific name, Indigofera tinctoria. Blue pigment is also created using the minerals azurite, cobalt, and lapis lazuli. So there you have it. That's where the primary colors come from. Life for painters back then was tough because pigments were so expensive. In modern times, scientists have created artificial pigments. Because of this, pigments are much cheaper and easily accessible. For this week's lesson, we are going to preview secondary colors. Remember how I said primary colors cannot be made by mixing other colors on the color wheel? Well, secondary colors are created by mixing primary colors. In today's project, we will only use primary colors. For this project, the supplies you will need are paper, pencil, watercolors, water in an open mouth container, a paintbrush, and circle tracers. If you choose to do an alternative project, you will need markers and colored pencils in lieu of watercolor. I decided to make bubbles, which is why I'm using circle tracers, but I also think it would look really cool with any type of overlapping shape or picture. It's all up to you. Remember, only use the primary colors for this project. This project can also be created using markers and colored pencils. Just remember to color lightly with the pencils. If you are using markers instead, I recommend letting the layers dry a few seconds before putting colors on top. I also noticed that while testing this project with markers, that my orange showed up a lot more when placed on top of the red. Although, doing this made my yellow marker orange, but that's okay, because all you have to do is color the orange away on a clean sheet of paper. Alright, let's get to it. The first thing we have to do is draw. So whatever you decided to create, make sure you draw it in pencil first. That way you can erase if you make a mistake. Because we will be using watercolors to mix our primary colors into secondary colors, instead of mixing the colors together on a paint mixing palette, we will layer them together because watercolor is transparent. Transparent means that we can see through the color. The trick to layering with watercolors is to make sure your colors are completely dry, because if they're wet, the paint will start to mix together like normal, which is fine, but I think this project is a lot cooler if we let our eyes do the mixing. Here, to make my watercolors dry faster, I used a hair dryer. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed learning about why the primary colors are called primary. Make sure you guys check out our next videos in the series. I will put them out every single week. I can't wait to see you guys' projects too. Alright guys, until next time, peace, love, art, and stay safe.